Now let's go ahead and start thinking about some sketching for the Mixmaster logo. I'm in Photoshop right now, and of course you can follow along on paper, or you can of course do some sketches on paper if you'd like to scan it in, or however you need to get your sketches into your computer. When I do sketches, I typically like to think not only in pixels, but sometimes inches if I'm going to print things out, so I can see exactly what I'm going to get here. So, you want to keep that in mind as well. Where are you going to take this artwork? Now, the good news is we're going to Illustrator with this. And Illustrator, unlike Photoshop, gives you the ability to scale your artwork and have no distortion. So, once again, I'm always thinking ahead as to where the artwork is going to wind up. So, having said that, I'm going to go ahead and create a document that's about 1500 pixels by 10,000 pixels, or 1000 pixels wide. So 1500 by 10. The sketch can be like 150 just to give me some resolution. And I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new layer. This layer on the bottom will be filled with a solid color. For example, this white here, or a nice gray so it's not so powerful on my eyes. I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, Background Color. This layer here is where I'm going to do my sketching. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this layer and start to sketch with a brush. So I'm going to get a hard brush here, reduce the size, and move it out here to see what it looks like, and just do a quick test. I'm going to also zoom in on my canvas. All right, so one of the things that I like to keep in mind when I'm doing things like this is how literal am I going to be? All right. Do I want this to be the typical hip hop kind of feeling, or a graffiti style, just because it has to do with mixing and music? Not necessarily. You can go futuristic, you can go R&B, you can go pop. There's all kinds of things you can do, and that's why the sketches are so important. So I'm going to go ahead and just play around right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just think at what this might look like. All right. So I'm thinking about a DJ spinning, on maybe a piece of vinyl, or, a music track, and this might be the needle that spins on the record. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly sketch in a disc that would represent the record itself. Maybe a couple of lines to indicate the motion. And once again, this is just for my own benefit, so I know what I'm doing. I'll go ahead and just do something like this. Another thing that I have to keep in mind is that this is going to wind up going to After Effects. And I want to extrude this as a 2D layer in After Effects. And I don't want to have it so complicated that we might have errors. So some of these letters might very well be moved apart from the others inside of Illustrator. A sketch is never really cemented in stone. We could trace over this logo in Illustrator, or we could start from a type family that looks like this font, and we can go ahead and turn it into outlines, which I'll show you how to do, and then bend it to our will. So I'm also thinking out loud here. I'm going to go ahead and put another layer, and I'm thinking maybe some musical notes behind this, maybe just to see what it looks like. Once again, I don't want to be too literal, but you never know, it might look cool. I just do something like this. The notes are probably all backwards. It's been a long time since I took piano lessons when I was a little kid, so these could be all wrong. But I'm going to take this layer and drop the opacity down just like this. Now, I like that. It's kind of interesting, and this gives me enough information that I could work with. All right, I can take this in Illustrator, or I can continue sketching. But as you see, when you're doing a sketch, you want to just let yourself go and get rid of any preconceived notions. We might not even use this pointy M here going onto this this piece of vinyl or the music, because it might not be necessary. Maybe the middle part might do that. So I'll just go ahead and grab the eraser. And let's say, for example, that I want this M, maybe this part right here. Once again, we get this eraser. Maybe I want this part to extend like this, and maybe the M's like this. and that might look good or not. So I have to continue playing with this. So on your own, guys, go ahead and experiment and come up with some ideas, because the logo and the way it looks doesn't matter. This is another one of those projects where it's the technique that we're going to be learning together. So I will see you guys in Illustrator, where we'll go ahead and create this in a vector format.